Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be mostly talking about, but I'll also show you a bit that I just got that is a ceramic bit, and I know that I've gotten quite a few questions recently just about what I think of them. Have I tried one? Do I like them? Are they what they say, what they claim to be? All of that. So to start with, I'm not really going to be showing you much of using the bit itself because as far as visually use, it looks just like using any other bit, pretty much any other bit of the same shape, and it's very, very similar to the bit that I have been using in pretty much every video for the past year or so. So if you guys, it's basically the same thing. So I'll show you the bit, I will give like a little view of it and I'll show it to you, but as far as actually using it, it's pretty much the same. So as far as my opinions on what I think of the bit itself, so one of the main draws to a ceramic bit, at least what they claim, is that they aren't going to cause any heat spikes. Now to start with, depending on how you're using your e-file, you shouldn't be causing your client, or if you're doing it on yourself, any heat spikes at any point at all, because you just, proper use, you shouldn't have that as an issue. But if you are having problems where you do have some heat spikes, for whatever reason that may be, I know that on me, I do both of my hands and I use an e-file in both hands, and hard as I try, I will cause heat spikes when I use my left hand on my right hand. Almost always on my ring and my pinky nail. Don't know why, and I've changed things, I'm super careful, but it just happens. So for me, that's pretty much the only time. I know that I've tried this bit out on a couple different people, and I asked them, does it feel any different? Do you feel any heat? And they're like, heat. So apparently, good news, I don't cause heat spikes on other people, just myself. But if you are worried about heat spikes, that I did notice that with the ceramic bit, I did not have any heat spikes on when I just used it this morning, and I had no heat spikes at all when I was using it with my left hand on my right hand on any of my fingers. And I did a couple things that you shouldn't do to kind of test it to see if it caused heat spikes, and I didn't have any issues. So I do believe that it does reduce that. With that being said though, you really want to be careful with your e-file use regardless, because if you're doing something and you have a lot of clients, or you find on yourself that you are causing heat spikes, or you are getting that nice little ring of fire, you really want to reevaluate how you're using your e-file. And a ceramic bit's not going to solve the damage that's being done to the nail. It just might make the damage a little bit more comfortable as it's happening, if that makes sense. I don't know. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's the main thing that they usually say that's really beneficial. The bit that I bought has a whole list of things as to its benefits, and one of the things was it said that it would not ever be clogged, that it was clog proof, okay? I don't like anytime something says that it's proof, that it's, I don't know, acetone proof. I know that my e-file says that it's acetone resistant, which I love, because proof is a pretty strong word. That's a pretty big claim. This says it's clog proof, and it isn't. I did clog it. Again, I'm doing things to try to test it, and so I e-filed. I had regular polish on top of my dipping powder, and I filed it off, and it was completely dry. It was on there for 2 weeks, but regular polish tends to clog bits, and this one, it did clog it, but it cleaned really, really easy. So I do think that it probably declogs easier than others, but it did clog. And when I was doing, I did an acrylic fill, and I did a whole bunch of work with dipping powder with this bit, and aside from just when I did that with the regular polish, it didn't get clogged at all, and it did clean really easy. It did get all those particles out. There was no issues with that. There was no problems with it. When I did soak it in acetone, that's how I like to start cleaning my bits, because it will dissolve any particles that are lodged in there. So just like 2 minutes, I like to soak my bits in acetone. No problem with that. And then in the barbicide, and there was no issues in general with that, just across the board. But I did want to just mention that I don't like it when anything says that it's proof, because it probably isn't. So it's clog resistant for sure. So that's one of the things. And then another thing that these ceramic bits are supposed to do is they're supposed to be a little bit more efficient as far as product removal. I've heard that a couple places. Some things you read don't say that, some things say that. And really that depends more, I think. There's some to do with the kind of bit, the material of the bit that you're using, but I think that it's very comparable to a carbide bit. It's a brand new bit, and it's a very coarse bit, the one that I bought. So it is going to remove product very quickly, which is what I had purchased it with the intention of. And so it does do that, but I don't think it's any more efficient than a carbide bit would be that was the same thing. Like I said, it's almost identical to the carbide bit that I use in almost every single acrylic design that I do. So I did have a really good comparison that way, and I think that it does remove it just as efficiently as carbide does. I personally am not a fan of diamond bits. I don't think that they I don't know. I don't really prefer them. And so I don't think it's, I think it is better than a diamond bit as far as the efficiency of removing product, but I don't think it's better than carbide, if that makes sense. I think it's equal to, and a lot of that comes back to how coarse the bit is, what shape the bit is, how high your E-file, the speed is turned up, and just the user itself, because there are techniques to remove product more efficiently and quicker, and so it comes back to more of what you're doing than the material of the bit as far as that goes. So I am happy with this bit. I will definitely be using it. I will be using it on myself because I do have that little heat spike problem with my left hand, regardless of what I seem to do about it. So I'm happy about that. One other thing that I want to mention about the bit I purchased specifically is I read a lot of reviews on it before I bought it, because I'm one of those people that goes to 100 different websites and reads everything before I purchase anything. And the one thing that kind of made me hesitant about this bit specifically was that it said that a couple of the questions asked if it was appropriate for left-handed users and does it work well in the reverse speed or in the reverse rotation on an E-file. And a lot of the things said that no, that the cut of the bit didn't do that, that it didn't work well in reverse, that it liked to jump then, and I didn't have any issues with that. So I don't know if maybe they changed something since that question was asked, or maybe whatever that left-handed user was just not used to an E-file, or what the scenario was. But with this bit specifically, and that comes down to the cut of the bit, not the material. Again, so this doesn't have anything to do with it being a ceramic bit. It's the same thing with carbide. Some of them just don't like to go the other direction. So they do, some brands do make left and right bits, or forward and reverse rotation bits. This one does seem to go just fine either direction. As I was looking at it, it looked like it was cut in a way that wouldn't be an issue, so that's why I was like, all right, I think I'll give it a go. So I just wanted to mention that in case you are a left-handed user and you're reading those same reviews that I did and you're like, I don't know. I am very happy with this bit, so definitely I'll put a link to the one that I bought in the description box below, so check that out if you are interested in trying out a ceramic bit. It was off Amazon and fairly reasonable. I didn't think it was too bad, so I hope you guys found this helpful, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well.
So here's the bit. Like I mentioned, I would just show it to you guys really quick. It is a pretty long bit, so you can cover a pretty big surface area at a time, which also helps with removing product more efficiently. And the color, I don't know if you can really tell in the video, it's ever so slightly pink, which I thought was interesting. And I did get the green one, so I know on the link, I don't know, there's either 3 or 4 amounts that are of how coarse they are. There's either 3 or 4, and I did the most coarse one. So it's the green one. I hope you guys like this. Again, I hope this helped you out, and please comment with any questions, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.